Heyo! Hi, my name is Phil Snyder, and I'm going to be cycling the Continental Divide from south to north, from Mexico border to Canada. I wasn't going to film any of this or even really do any social media for that matter, but I've met a lot of people along the way telling me how inspiring that this is to them. I don't think so much it's inspiring the fact that I'm doing it, but there's one other reason that a lot of people approach me and talk to me about it, and it's because of this. Yes, doing it with a prosthetic leg. Lost it 10 years ago. I'll get into all the details on that in another video. One word that I keep hearing from a lot of people is inspiring, inspiring, inspiring. So I figured that if I can inspire people just meeting them randomly on the road, maybe I can make these videos to inspire others who are disabled, physically, mentally, whatever, just to be able to get out there and overcome any fears that they might have to do anything like this, or even enjoy the outdoors for that matter, even on weekend trips, day trips, whatever. Hopefully through these videos some of those people can find the motivation to do that. If any of you personally suffered through any of that and want to contact me, do it. Now the prosthetic that I just showed you, it's a Biodapt Moto knee. I was able to get it through generous friends of mine who are amazing. Everybody, you know, kind of chipped in 5, 10, 20, 100, sometimes even more for me to get this knee. It's amazing. I snowboard with it, I've been cycling with it, and it is more than what I expected it to be. That is why through the Patreon page, I'm going to donate 20% and even more to these other organizations that help people like me obtain these prosthetics, such as the Challenged Athletes Foundation, the Range of Motion, otherwise known as ROMP. There's lots of others. Wiggle Your Toes. If you know of any others that would benefit from this, please let me know in the comments. And I'm going to be cycling the Great Divide Trail. Today is day number 1. I have cycled 31 miles of it thus far, and I've got another 14 to go into Hachita, where I'm staying the night. And with this being the first video on the channel, there's going to be plenty more. So please subscribe. If you know anybody that may benefit from any of this, please let them know, share it with them. So it's been about 2 weeks now since I've given you an update, and I apologize for that. I'll try and make these videos a little more frequent, at least once or twice a week, hopefully. Depends on how often I can get Wi-Fi to upload these videos. Got some notes here over the past 14 days since day 1, since you've heard from me last. As you've seen in the previous video, day 1 was just a quick 45-mile ride from Antelope Wells. It was pretty easy. It was all pavement, all the way back to Hachita to stay with Jeffrey Sharp again. Runs a place called the Bike Ranch. So if you're in Hachita hiking or traveling by bike, look him up. Jeffrey Sharp, Bike Ranch, Hachita. The following day I rode a few miles past Separ. Ended up staying about 2 miles north of a ranch. I forget the name of the ranch. I wish I could remember it. But that was probably about another 40-mile day or so, something like that I want to say. Day 3 I rode into Silver City. That was kind of fun. Had headwinds pretty much all day until I hit pavement, and it was just rolling hills and just headwinds the entire day. It got so bad at one point I was actually yelling and screaming, cursing in the air pretty much. It was a little entertaining. In Silver City I stayed at a place called the Bike House, which is run by a gentleman named Jamie. I forget his last name, but he actually raced the Tour Divide back in 2008, and he's been running a place called the Bike House for several years now. It's another donation-run hostel. Check that out if you're ever in Silver City. The following morning after staying at the Bike House, I couldn't find any motivation to leave for some reason. Maybe it was the company that I was with, but just could not find the motivation to leave. And at about 2 p.m. I decided to go for a ride around town and just see what happens. Ended up restocking there in town and heading out. Only rode about 10 miles north, and then stayed at a place called the Continental Divide RV Park, which was $8 for a tent site. Not bad. They had showers, laundry, and all that. Took advantage of the shower, but laundry I had already done at the Bike House in Silver City. Day 5, following the short ride out of Silver City, rode 40 miles to a general store just outside of the Gila National Forest, and got there and it was closed for the season. I didn't have much food to last me through the Gila National Forest, so I was kind of in a panic at that point. There was a water spigot on the side of the store where I refilled my water. Hopped onto Google Maps real quick and found out that there was a small general store / restaurant about 24 miles east of where I was. And it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I hauled ass all the way to that general store, resupplied real quick, and hauled ass another 20. Well, at that point I had to go back 20 miles to get back to the forest, and as soon as I got into the forest the sun was setting, so I ended up having to set up camp in the dark. So yeah, quickly set up the tent and just went right to sleep. Right at sunrise I packed up everything, started back on the trail. Day 6 was just a short 12-mile day into a campground called Rocky Canyon. Got notes here. Rocky Canyon. Probably about 3 miles into my ride that day, I ran into a gentleman named Guy, who's also cycling the Divide. Him and I shared a camp spot. He's great company, awesome guy. Just recently retired and decided to ride the Divide. He's from Seattle, Washington, does a lot of mountain biking and that kind of thing in that area, so this is just another trip for him, I guess. Great having him around, that was fun. Next morning, after Guy and I had packed up and everything, we obviously both decided, we'll cycle at our own pace. If we see each other again, we'll see each other. I ended up staying at a place called Black Canyon Campground that was not too far from Rocky Canyon. There was water there, fed by a spring, and it was great water. Needed it after 2 days. And I actually had the whole campground to myself, which was nice. Got there at about 2 or 3 p.m. Yeah, I was a little wore out. The hills were just starting to wear on me, so I decided to take a break. Day 8, I stayed about 1 mile south of the Beaverhead, Beaverhead Ranger Station. I had heard rumors that if you get there early enough in the morning, and they're doing a breakfast for all the rangers, that they will invite the cyclists in to have breakfast as well. Unfortunately, when I got there, there's only 2 guys working there. They were just starting to open up for the season, so they didn't have anything going on really. Half the water wells were actually still shut off. They were in the process of still getting those going, but was able to refill there as well with the other half that they had going. After leaving the Beaverhead Ranger Station, I decided to take an alternate route north of Beaverhead. Took what was called 163. Instead of taking a left out of Beaverhead, you take a right. That'll take you on the 163. That was actually a pretty fun road. I had a downhill for about I want to say 6 or 7 miles, and it was a blast. It was great. After the last few days I had to have that downhill was great. But there towards late afternoon, it started getting really windy. It was a crosswind, so it wasn't too bad, but still it was bad. By the time I got to another road, I think it's a state road 52, right there at 52 and 163, there was what looked to be like an old welding shop that was abandoned. There was a short little alcove where I could set up my tent underneath it, and just as soon as I set up my tent, it started raining and everything, so that was kind of perfect timing. Day 10, I got into Pie Town. Pie Town was awesome. Stopped into the gathering place, where of course they serve pies and all that. Had biscuits and gravy, some enchiladas, pie of course, and then there was a group of about 5 people that came in, and from what I could gather, they were all staying at the Toaster House. They were all hikers. The Toaster House is another hostel run by, what is her name? Nita. Awesome lady. She'd been living in that house since 1981 and has always welcomed hikers into her home. And just a few months ago, very recently, she bought a house outside of town for herself and is keeping the house in Pie Town open for hikers and cyclists. It's donation run, so if you ever stay there, throw something in the tip jar. While at the Toaster House, there were several people that were concerned about the weather. For the next 3 days, there was forecast for rain, and I don't know if you've ever been to New Mexico, but in the rain, those gravel roads just turn into pretty much peanut butter. Anything, if you step on it, the mud just sticks to your shoes. The more you walk in it, the more mud that sticks to your shoes. It is horrible. So with rain moving in for the next 2 days, I decided to take those 2 days off, and about an hour after I got to the Toaster House after eating, a guy showed up. Him and I hadn't seen each other since the first day we met up. He showed up at the Toaster House about an hour after I did. He and I both took 2 days off. I think, now that I think about it, none of the hikers left in those 2 days, so the house got pretty full. With rain moving in this area, you just don't want to be out in it. So yeah, during those 2 days off, kind of rested, got, cleaned all the gear, including the bike. Had plenty of pie. Good times. Toaster House, look it up. It's a good time. The morning of day 13, Guy and I rode out of Pie Town to an alpaca ranch 45 miles from Pie Town. The hosts there were very welcoming. Apparently they used to host a lot of hikers, but since then they've changed the route for the hikers, and now they don't get as much business. It's called High Country Alpaca Farm, High Country Alpaca Ranch, something like that. Very cool place. Day 14 made it into Grants. Got rained on probably only for about 3 minutes. It was a 63-mile push from the Alpaca Ranch to Grants, which wasn't bad. It was primarily downhill, pretty easy. But and now day 15 today, taking another day off, kind of resting once again. Long distance travel, I'm not used to it, but slowly getting there. And from here on out, I promise you, I will be making a more conscious effort to get these videos uploaded. I'm gonna shoot for once or twice a week, but we'll see what happens. So be sure to subscribe. Check out the Patreon page too. There's pretty cool benefits in there, as well as helping others with disabilities get the prosthetics they need. So, cheers. Later. Today is day 15 on the Great Divide mountain bike route. Just left Grants / Milan. Two towns kind of just barely separated by, I don't know, a couple hundred feet really. My next stop is going to be Cuba, New Mexico, which is about 120 20 miles from Grants. Probably gonna split that up into 3 days, 40 miles a day. I don't know if the camera is gonna pick that up, but just north of Grants, there's a pretty high peak, and there's some snow up there. A couple of things about Grants if you're ever cycling through. They've got pretty much everything you would need as far as restaurants, grocery stores, hotels. Though I could not find a bike shop. I didn't really look too hard because I don't need anything as far as the bike goes, but that's one thing they're lacking there. Quick lunchtime update. 29 miles from Grants, where I left this morning. So I'm only about 11 miles from my 40-mile goal today, and it's only about 1 p.m. or so. Started the climb in elevation, so I decided to get some food in me, drink a bunch of water, and I don't know, we'll see how this climb goes. I know it probably doesn't look steep on camera, but it is. So much, in fact, that I ran out of gears, and now I'm walking the bike. I would like to get one of those absolute black oval chain rings. Would help with the gearing on the steep ascents. But the best part about the uphills is the downhill. More and more climbing up ahead. Now about 3:30 p.m. Day 15, 38 miles from Grants, so only 2 miles from my 40-mile goal. That's where I'm headed. Doesn't look like there's much out there as far as forests or anything like that, so might be kind of difficult to find a camp spot. I'm going to keep riding until about 5 p.m. Not sure what my mileage will be then, but we'll find out. Alright, so I've done about 45 miles today. Right now I'm looking for a camp spot. Some of these areas would be great, but they're all fenced in. I'm gonna try and ride for about another half hour or so and see what I can find. So 48 miles into my ride, come across this church. Nobody's home. Decided I'd go over to this house you see behind me, but fortunately there was a dog guarding the front door, so I didn't go up and knock or anything. Kind of pondered outside, looked at my phone, started to walk away, and this young lady comes out asking me if I needed help or anything. Asked her if she knew anybody that runs the church, and maybe I could camp on the other side of it. She happens to know the people that do run the church. I gave them a call, and now I get to go camp just in these trees right over here. So it all worked out. Let's go set up camp. All right, before I set up camp, give you a little quick recap of today. Left Grants, I want to say at about 9 or so. I don't know, stopped in town, got some coffee and stuff, so I may have left town 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's now 5:15. Took a few breaks in there. Total 48 miles. I'm not sure of the elevation gain and loss. I'm going to start tracking that so I can let you guys know. But tomorrow I may push into Cuba. It's about 75 miles from here, I think. But overall good day. Cheers. Later. Good morning. Today is day 17 on the Great Divide mountain bike route. Spent last night in some trees over here next to this church. Woke up, only had about a liter of water, and there is a well pump right over here, but there's a lock on it. Right here. Yeah. So I've only got a liter of water. There's a store, at least Google Maps says there's a store about 24 miles from here. I should be able to make it on a liter of water. We'll find out. And one other thing, Cuba is 74 miles from where I am. I don't think that I'm going to push through and do all of that today. I may try and do about 50 miles of it or so that the following morning it'll only be 20 miles and I can spend, half a day in Cuba. But we'll find out. We'll see how it goes. Still haven't been able to find water. I'm about 17 miles from a place called Chaco Trade Center where I believe I can get water. I don't know if you can see it way off out there in the distance. The road right here that goes back behind this, I don't know, little bluff or whatever you want to call it. Not focused, you can see it. But it goes back into that canyon. I gotta hang a right and then go behind these cliffs back here. Love this. Love it. Looked a little emo. Starting to get gassed out, and I have no idea where it's at. I know it's a few miles up the road, but I can't see it anywhere. I think that's it. There in the distance on the left. Hope they have ice cream too. So I'm still here at the Chaco Trade Center. Got here a little after 12 o'clock or so this afternoon. It's now about 5 p.m. Started uploading a video because they've got Wi-Fi here. One of the store owners came out and asked me if I wanted to camp here. Evidently they do let cyclists and hikers camp here, didn't know that. So tonight's campsite will be right over here behind this old railroad car. Kind of nice. So today's cycling only 24 miles from where I camped at last night. Tomorrow, 48 miles into Cuba. I think I'll try and leave a little early and try and push the total 48 miles. But I don't know. This will be it. I'm gonna go set up camp. Cheers. Later. Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 16th, day 18 on the Great Divide mountain bike route. Spent the night here at Chaco Trade Center. The owners let me camp out behind a old train car they have here on property. And this little guy over here, this little pup that's playing in the plastic now, slept outside of my tent all night, which was kind of cool. Kept guard, I guess, all night. I'm gonna ride into Cuba today, total of 48 miles. Shouldn't be too bad. Clouds are kind of dark in the background. I don't know if it's gonna rain or not. Hopefully not. But it's a good one. Stopped at this little store. Stopped at that little store back there you see behind me. It's not even on the maps or anything, so keep that in mind if you're leaving Cuba, headed south. It's 24 miles from Cuba. One of the gentlemen that came in said that I had just passed over the Continental Divide just south of here. There weren't any signs or anything, so I don't know. So now I'm on the east side of the divide. I've been on the road for a month. Well, how's that, Phil, if today's only day 18? I'm glad you asked. I started in Phoenix April 15th. Today's what, May 16th? So I've been on the road for a month. Party. Flatbread, hummus, cucumber, and tomato. Do you see how much sediment is in the bottom of there? I refilled that in the town of Cuba with the city water. That's what's coming out of the pipes in the city water in Cuba. Ugh. first snow I've seen since leaving Colorado about a month and a half ago. I think I'm at about 9,500 feet elevation. Hopefully I don't run into too much more. That's just beautiful. This is where I'm gonna camp tonight. Today is day 20 on the Great Divide mountain bike route. I spent yesterday in Cuba, took a day off, day 19. I knew I was gonna be out here in the forest for about 3 or 4 days, so I wanted to take a break, restock, all of that good stuff. Bike's heavy, fully loaded. 3 days worth of food, carry about a gallon of water with me. Today's ride was only about 13 miles, but 2,300 feet of elevation gain. A lot of that was hike-a-bike. I'm running out of gears. And when I left Cuba today, the weather was great. It was starting to warm up, but as I climbed in elevation, it got windier and colder. So much, in fact, that rain jacket, wool, t-shirt, all zipped up, all bundled up. But I've gone down in elevation, I think just a few hundred feet. There's a ridge line back behind me kind of blocking the wind, so it's a little warmer. It's nice when the sun's out, but it's partly cloudy, so as soon as the sun dips behind the cloud, it gets a little chilly again. But overall, pretty uneventful day. But I get to camp out in this beautiful little meadow. There's a flattish spot here that I'm gonna set up the tent on. It's only about 3:45. I wanted to set up camp early and also do a review of my tent, my Nemo Dragonfly tent. So if you're in the market for a new one, check that out. And last but not least, a huge shout out and thank you to my 2 Patreon members so far, my Aunt Sherry and Harry Rigalot. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Rigalot? Something like that. But cheers and thank you. You guys are the reasons why I'm going to be able to keep this trip going, hopefully indefinitely, and make these YouTube videos full-time job. We'll see. Cheers. Later. Good morning. Today is Sunday, May 19th, here in the Santa Fe National Forest in New Mexico. Just trying to wake up, drinking some coffee here. I didn't sleep that well last night. Woke up a few times a little cold. I need to do something in my sleeping bag. It's not a sleeping bag. It used to be a sleeping bag, but I had it altered. Had the zipper cut off and some of the material. But now, all of the down falls to the sides of it because the baffles are sewn this way and not this way. I think when I get into Taos in a couple days, I'll have it altered so that the down actually stays on top of me and not beside me. And one other thing, last night I decided to clean my prosthetic that I use for cycling and found that there's a little bit of play right here in this bushing here. There's a bolt here, and then it goes through a bushing that allows this to move, but hopefully you can kind of see that there's some play in there, and that is because there's a bushing that's worn out. Hopefully it'll last me to Taos so that I can contact Mike at Biodapt and send me a couple parts. Hopefully it gets me there without failing. And, I'm gonna eat some oatmeal and get going for the day. Finally back on the road, and it's 12:15. Oops. Took my time packing up. There's a town called Abiquiu, I think is how you pronounce it. About 50 miles from where I'm at right now. The town itself is on the Great Divide mountain bike route, but as I said earlier, I'm gonna head into Taos. And Taos, I believe, is about another 60 or 70 miles northeast from there. The reason I want to go there is because there's a bike shop, well, a few of them actually, And I think I'm gonna send the extra prosthetic that I'm carrying around. You see it there. It's my everyday walking prosthetic, but I haven't really been using it at all, so it doesn't really justify me carrying around the extra 5-6 pounds that it weighs. To have that much extra weight on the front end, just not that good. I'm not using it at all, really, so I think I'm gonna send it back. Let's get going. Now, from what I can gather by looking at the maps this morning, today should be full of some downhill. You see all that carved into the trees? Don't do that. Usually I'd have a few choice words for people that do that, but I'm just gonna don't do it. The reason I stopped here was to let some air out of the tires. Forgot to when I hit the dirt yesterday. The reason I do this is because it makes the ride a lot better when you're on gravel. Less bumpy, much more tolerable. For the road, you want them pumped up like almost rock hard, or at least that's how I do it. Usually run about 25, 28 PSI on the gravel and 55 or so on the pavement. So far, so good. So day 21 on the Great Divide mountain bike route is in the books. 1,699 feet of elevation gain, 24.8 miles in total. Total move time 4 hours 32 minutes. I got a pretty late start today. Just couldn't get myself to get out of the tent. But tonight I have found, I think, a pretty cool camping spot, maybe somewhere in these trees here. I do need to refill on water, and the only thing available is this standing pond here, so I'm gonna have to filter it. But sorry I didn't really record too much today. I got some family stuff on my mind. But I won't go too deep into that. But if anything, just keep your word. Keep your word to your friends and family. Today's weather, it was overcast all day and kind of chilly. Never really warmed up at all. Sun never really came out, so it was pretty chilly. I think the high was maybe in the high 50s, low 60s, maybe even a little cooler than that. A few days ago I did hear that tonight is supposed to be below freezing, but find out, I hope not. But oh yeah, you see this little, can't see it because of the tree, but starting tomorrow morning, see this little gnarly hill behind me. See how rough that is? It's in focus now, but yeah, that's gonna be the start of my day tomorrow, that hill. Yay. Cheers, later. Morning. Today is May 20th, day 22 of the Great Divide ride. This morning is not too bad. It's a little chilly, but not too bad. Tolerable. Didn't freeze last night like I thought it would, so that was nice. this afternoon it is supposed to rain, and I'm supposed to be climbing up to just over 10,000 feet. A little worried about that, so I think I'm going to take a little detour and go down this canyon that's off behind me, if I can't really tell. But I don't want to be at 10,000 feet most of the day with rain moving in, especially with the threat of thunder and lightning. So I'm gonna head down this canyon, get to a state road. I think it's within 8 miles or so, something like that. If I go the other route, the official route, I wouldn't be on pavement until, 30 miles or so, and a lot of that's above 10,000 feet. Not something I want to risk with the rain moving in, so let's be going. Doesn't look like much of a road, does it? I'll give it a shot, but I think as long as I stay in the valley, it'll be alright. There's supposedly a campground about 4.5 miles this way. This road is on Google Maps, but it's not on Gaia GPS, so should be interesting. Love to film myself going down this, but just not possible to ride one-handed and film all of this. It's a pretty rough road. Not much of a road left, more of a pathway. But, check out the view I got. I think as long as I follow this canyon down, follow the water really, it'll be alright. Now I have to somehow get across this. You can see there's some motorcycle tracks over there, but it's just, first I'd have to cross the creek here and then somehow get through the bog over there. This could get interesting. I may try and cross right down here. We'll go check it out. Well, after some careful consideration right here at the point where I just showed you where the motorcycles had crossed, I'm going to go back upstream just 100 yards or so where these two creeks converge to make this one larger creek, and hopefully I can cross at a safer section up there. If not, I might be taking my shoes off and walking across. Be a little chilly. It's all snow melt. Alright, so I'm about 50 yards upstream from where I just showed you. Here's where two of them converge. I'm going to go up this way just a little bit. This stream, there's not much water flowing through it, so I think I'm going to be able to cross up there pretty easily. And then just right back here, there's a few logs crossing this heavier creek, so let's see if we can stay dry. Now, I've got one foot that I don't mind getting wet, of course, prosthetic foot. I think I've found a short enough section where I can get across here. Let's give it a shot. Made it. Cool. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to cross right here. I'm going to have to go upstream a little bit more. Alright, I think I've got a plan here. I'm going to walk across this log while pushing the bike through the creek. But, and there's another one that I got to cross over there. I don't think that one will be an issue. I think I can cross right there, center screen. Let's go for it. It's not gonna work. Not gonna be able to walk across the log with the bike that low. shit. Well, said screw it, got across the first section. But submerged my left foot, that doesn't matter. Right foot stayed dried. Let's get across this section here. I think I can right there. I wish I could show you this, but left foot, I'm gonna go right there in that water. It looks to be about 8-10 inches deep. Right foot's gonna go on the rock. Hopefully stay dry. Oh well. Here we go. Success! Let's get out of here. Alright. Back on two wheels, but getting kind of windy. There's some weather moving in behind me. Hopefully I can beat it down to the bottom of the canyon and keep from getting rained on. Well, after those two creek crossings, I had an extremely fun downhill. It was a little technical, like baby head-sized rocks all the way down, some ruts. I wish I could have shown you some of it, but recording with one hand and riding down that sort of terrain with the other is just asking to get hurt. So maybe in the future I'll get an action cam so I can show you that kind of stuff. It was a blast, it was a good time. But from here I've got about 7.5 miles to a paved highway where I think I'm gonna try and get a hotel room tonight. I want to get cleaned up and be warm for a night. Let's go. I love this. I love it. I'm gonna do it forever. That's where I'm headed. Beautiful out there, but I've got to try and beat these rain clouds that are off to the left of me. They're off to the west. They're moving east now. Hopefully I can beat them out there. Look at that view. Alright, gotta go. See you back there? Just a big rain cloud. Trying to outrun it, but it's just a roller coaster out here. Up and down, up and down. From 25 to 30 miles an hour to 5. Back, back. Heading uphill for about a mile, which slowed me down. The rain's right on my ass now. But luckily, got a pretty good downhill in front of me. Still trying to outrun the rain. Right behind me. So I just barely made it to Abiquiu before the weather started rolling in. Well, of course now it's not windy. Coming and going, but made it to a hotel here in Abiquiu. A little spendy, but it was the only thing available for the night. Pretty nice. Today's ride, I want to say, I forgot to track it, but I want to say it was about 28 miles. Some good downhills, but also with that, some good uphills. Some horses out back. Pretty cool. But if you've made it this far into my videos, please hit that subscribe button. Check out the Patreon page. There's a lot of cool benefits in there, as well as helping some other amputees get the prosthetics they need to be active. Till tomorrow, cheers. I need a shower. Later.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, May 29th, day 23 on the Great Divide mountain biking route. Just now leaving Albuquerque. I'm about 5 miles north of there, headed to Del Norte. Del Norte is about 140 miles north of Albuquerque. I plan on spending a couple days here in the National Forest because, if you may not know, the weather's been crazy in Colorado, particularly the mountains. Snowfall is just crazy. Some of those passes are probably still pretty covered in snow. Once I get to Del Norte, I've got a few packages waiting on me once again. So if I have to spend a couple days in Del Norte as well, that's fine. I can wait out the snow melt. Getting warm, I gotta take my pants off. Hey. Much better. What did you think I meant? I was gonna go in my underwear? Since leaving Albuquerque, it's been primarily uphill. A little slogan they taught us in the Army. It's hard to climb and ride at the same time. Mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Do they say that in the other branches? Take a look at this. Beautiful blue skies, partly cloudy. Rain clouds. Hopefully I don't have to ride into that. Now, 15 miles north of Albuquerque, we're at a small little community called El Ridden. No restaurants or stores, but there is a bar here. Now, also here in El Ridden, there's a cycling guide company, Lizard Guides, I think, something like that, Lizard something. Guys saw me and flagged me down, thought maybe I was one of his riders. Found out I wasn't. He still allowed me to hop off my water, gave me some apples, some mandarins. It was good. Thanks, Lizard Guides. Headed north out of El Ridden, I finally get to hit the gravel again. But, you see behind me, those dark clouds, it's raining up there. And I've got to go through that canyon, so I think I'm going to chill here for a little bit and see which way that rain moves, because the winds are moving north-northeast. I'm going to hang out here and see what happens back there. Alright, so I've been here for about 5 minutes now. From what I can tell, it's moving pretty much directly north. The direction I've got to go is this way, so hopefully I can skirt along the side of it. And not only do I have this rain cloud in front of me, I've got one behind me too. Hopefully I can stay dry today. This is home. This is where I like to be, on the gravel, amongst the trees in the forest. Little creek crossing I gotta do. Looks to be full of baby head-sized rocks. You like that, Cody? I'm gonna let some air out of the tires. Wish I could show you this, but I don't have an action cam. I'm doing all the filming on my phone, so. Get to it, I guess. Quick little tip for any of you guys wanting to run tubeless or are running tubeless. When you let air out of the tires, make sure your valve is at the bottom, so that way none of your sealant actually comes out of the valve. Made it. Took one good bounce and thought I was going to lose it, but I was able to recover it. It did get pretty deep though, about 10 inches in one spot. Oh, let's go. I could spend days out here. Oh wait, I'm going to. Remember those rain clouds I showed you a few minutes ago? You got one right over me. Trying to outrun it. It's sprinkling. Not raining yet. Let's see if I can outrun it. Well, it's raining, and all I've been doing is going uphill, so outrunning this thing's been a little difficult. I'm gonna put my rain jacket on before I get soaked. Coming down pretty steady now, but good news is, I think I've come over that small pass. Now I'm headed downhill. Oh, I spoke too soon. The water's still flowing downhill behind me, so I've still got a ways to go uphill. I couldn't outrun the rain. The rain outran me. Blue sky's off to my left. Sun's coming out. Should be alright. The bike does look good, all wet and dirty. Hey-oh. The sun just came back out. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the mist already forming on the ground from the water evaporating. Yay, the sun's back out. Let's hope that means downhill. I think it does. This little village out here in the middle of nowhere in the national forest. What a day today has been. As I rode into Valencia here, I saw a gentleman walking in his yard. I asked him where a good place to camp was. And he turned around and said, right here in my yard. I'm not going to be staying in the yard because of weather, but he's invited me to stay on this church that's on his property. Today's been crazy, and a good one. Today's ride stats, 2,595 feet of elevation gain, 32 miles in total, and a 5-hour, 26-minute ride time. Today was a good one. Cheers. Later. Good morning, friends of YouTube. Hope everyone's having a groovy day. Today is Friday, May 31st, day 25 on the Great Divide mountain biking route. I wanted to get an early start this morning, but it's almost 10 o'clock now. I stayed up till about midnight last night working on videos and that sort of thing last night, so woke up a little later than I would have wanted to, but we're gonna get going, see how far we can get today. And looking at the map this morning, today's gonna be full of climbing. I'm about 7,800 feet in elevation. I believe my max today is going to be somewhere around 95, 96, somewhere around there. Now today's a beautiful day to be riding. It's not too cold, not too hot. Right in that Goldilocks zone. I just hope the rain holds off today. See that way down there? That's where I just came from. A little tip for you cyclists out there, and future cyclists. When you're going uphill, head down and pace yourself. That's all you can do, really. Head down, pacing yourself. That's what I found that works for me. It's just beautiful out here. You see it? Yeah. Imagine that, it's raining on me. Ah, scrub. I was starting to run pretty low on water. I was down to about 1.5 liters. And just in time, I've come across this spring. And it's fed about 100 yards up. So I'm not even going to worry about filtering this water. If you do decide to do anything like this, do so at your own risk. I've done this several times up in the mountains while hiking. Also on trips like this, and have never gotten sick. But if you do decide to do this, do so at your own risk. Oh, yeah. This stuff is like peanut butter. It sticks to everything. Still trudging through this peanut butter mud. And I've just come over a ridgeline. See that in the camera or not, but there's patches of snow out there on the mountainside. Not even riding nowhere near the road. The road's down there. There's also another section that parallels the same road that cars drive on, but I'm not even on there. I'm way up here. It's way too sloppy down there on the road. This is becoming very frustrating. I'm having to walk along the side of the road, but it's at a pretty good angle. You may try and go up there, walk along the road. Yeah, there's definitely no crossing it or riding on it. I remember having 2 legs. Walking through this wouldn't have been hard at all.
Oh, hey, look, snow.
Yeah, all that snow. Trudging through all of this. And having fun with the prosthetics, slipping inside and tripping. Good times, good times.
Well, I'm back on the road. Well, kinda. I'm on the side of the road because it's still pretty muddy, but I'm out of the woods now, finally. After a mile and a half walking over logs and all that. Whoever put all that stuff on the floor needs to come pick it back up. Back on 2 wheels. Finally. How beautiful is that?
That is a sign out here in the middle of the national forest.
Lost horse. Well, I hope they find their horse, but it's kind of odd to see a poster like that out here in the middle of nowhere. A patch of snow. Yeah, up in elevation now. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll find out later today. Hope they find their horse. Finally, some downhill.
Gorgeous view that I get to follow for about the next 3 miles until I have to go back into the woods.
Yeah, I can ride in the middle of the road. There's nobody out here. See that behind me? Yeah, it's pretty steep. For about a mile and a half at terminal velocity. Yeah, let's do it. I really ran out of gears. That was a blast. Getting a little chilly coming down this hill. Last couple miles downhill, which leads me to my next question. I've got to take a left up here in about 2 miles, or I can go an extra 16 miles and ride into a tiny little town that's got a restaurant and it's a place where I can refill on my snacks. I do have enough food to get me to Del Norte, but I could stock up with a little more, you know. Why not? I think I've made my mind up because for 14 miles, I don't even really have to pedal. So I'm going to get food.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here for the next 14 miles. But how do I get back? I'm gonna hitchhike. Chili Line Depot. And lodging?
Good morning. Today is Saturday, June 1st. Last night when I got here to the Chili Depot, I found out that it's actually a hostel as well as a small store, so I decided to stay here last night. One of the first things I did when I got here was connect to the internet so that I could upload some videos for my Patreon members. Those videos, about 10 videos I worked on for about 4 hours the previous night. Come to find out, all of those files were corrupt. For those of you who don't know, I'm using my phone to film and edit all of these videos. The phone got pretty full on memory, so I started deleting videos and after exporting them. And I thought after exporting them, I could delete the other videos. No such luck. So now I've got to stay on top of it as far as phone memory is concerned. It won't happen again. But today I think I'm going to take a 0 day and hang out here because I've got packages that are being sent to Del Norte, and I can get to Del Norte in probably 3 or 4 days, but those packages won't get there for another 7 or 8 days, unfortunately. So I'm going to take a 0 day, clean the bike after the muddy mess I was in yesterday, and have fun. Tomorrow, or yesterday's ride stats, total time in the saddle was 6 hours 54 minutes. Pretty good. Total of 38.2 miles and an elevation gain of 3,347 feet. Yeah, it was a good workout yesterday. Don't forget to subscribe. Later.